I think this points to two important areas we need to think about and discuss. And perhaps we can pick up a bit in the discussion now, is one, how can we strengthen local capacities for learning and importantly for knowledge sharing? So more the horizontal dimension of learning. And then secondly, I guess more from a vertical perspective, if you will, going back to one of the sessions from yesterday, is how to strengthen links and channels of communication between the local level and the national level. What I sometimes refer to as the missing middle. I think often with mainstreaming and similar sorts of things, we think about mainstreaming at the local level or mainstreaming at the national level. What tends to be neglected is how to bridge the two. And again, I think this is the most fundamental challenge. So this gets into issues of building networks, building capacity for effective partnerships, and building capacity for effective multi-stakeholder dialogue. And I'll just close with that.
Thank you very much for that very comprehensive remarks, which actually had a number of very strong messages. Some of them are the need to have very long-term commitment, the need to have a local evolution of the adaptation strategies, and specifically how we take the challenge of scaling up and specifically linking up the local government level to the national government and beyond. So we have about 45 minutes, I think, and we have had a very thought-provoking points made by the panelists. The floor is now open for you to make any comments or questions to any of the panelists. So we have a number of, so we'll start from there. Please say your name and affiliation and the question.
Thank you. Hello everybody, my name is Dodi. I'm from Center for Climate Risk and Opportunity Management, Bogor Agriculture University, Indonesia. And I'm very impressed with the presentation for the panelists, and it gives me many inspiration today. And I would like to ask, we realize that every country is different with the geographical, like Philippines also have many islands, and it was also in Indonesia. But the point is, I would like to sharing and asking maybe from the previous experience is about there is key point about the communication, and if we're looking for the background of the like many islands, how is what is the best or effective communication from the national, subnational, and also the local level? Because every country, if you see and realize about Indonesia, it's very hard, and usually if the national level or the government have some programs, and it is need time and process, and it's very like constraint and also challenge for us. But maybe there is some experience from the panelists and also about that. And the other side is about, I would like to realize that from Mr. Raman, yeah, and this is very good idea about we already have the learning from the local level. And we, as the university, of course, we help the community and also help the government. So in this point, I would like to give some idea that we should work together, whether in the national, subnational, and local level. And the university also, of course, have the capacity building for help these problems. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's try to take a couple of more and then try to answer. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm Joydeep Gupta from India. This was something I wanted to say in the morning, never at the time. See, all of us are talking about, when we mainstream adaptation, what happens to gender, what happens to other things. I think the framework that Raman gave as that natural resources accounting, the need to get back to it, I think we should use that as at least debate the possibility, because I'm strongly in favor of using that as a framework on mainstreaming. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And yes.
Thank you. Nick Kais from the Academy for Educational Development. I have a specific ASEAN question for Mr. Raman. You mentioned the disaster management plan, the regional plan. I was wondering, given that we are expecting increased climate-related events and increased severity, whether there was talk at the Secretariat of increasing scenario planning among governments in the region, given that these events will not be limited to national borders, both in terms of response and DRR. Thanks.
Okay, we'll try to have some responses first before getting into the other. First one on the communications. Who would like to respond to that? The Ramis.
Yes, can I go first, because I think a number of questions, so yeah, before I forget them.
Okay.
I think the first point about communication is very important, what we communicate to who, you know. You cannot, I mean, I'm taking the example of forest fires, you know, smallholders, you know. You cannot communicate to them about climate change, adaptation, mitigation. They don't care, they don't want to know, you know. So if the message to them is, you know, they want to burn, they have to burn because they have to plant the next crop. And if you tell them not to burn, you got to tell them how can they do it, you know, without burning. So this is kind of things that we have to communicate to them. So it's different levels, and many times, you know, we think that the communicators and the person to be communicated is one homogeneous, you know, and we publish a book and so on. And we really find this challenge when we do some projects. And I can give you an example, like we have a region-wide project working on the peatlands. Because peatlands are the major source of fires. And we are actually working with university. In fact, the regional coordinator is the NGO. So we are working with the NGO because we know that they can deliver. It's not that governments cannot deliver, but you know, governments, they have their capacity, limited capacity, they have their own, but we find that many of these programs can be effectively delivered if we work with the NGOs, the academics, to do some research and so on. So we always spread our wings. On the disaster management, it's not only a plan, it's an agreement by itself. And I think over the years, we have set in place a number of programs. I think when you talk about scenario, one of the things that we are doing, even beyond scenario planning is one thing, is good. We do that, you know. But we do annual simulation exercises. These are real exercises. For example, the first one we had in Malaysia on earthquake. I know Malaysia does not have an earthquake, but we did an exercise there, and we brought in teams from Singapore, from Indonesia, from different countries. These are the real, you know, search and rescue teams, and they were, I think for the first time, they were in a simulated environment. Because most of the time they have been trained like soldiers to shoot, but they never get to shoot, you know, because only when there's a war. So, and then we had such a simulation exercise in Cambodia with the flooding and so on, in Singapore, in Thailand on chemical spills and so on. And these are annual exercises. So I'm just saying that, you know, we are not just having the agreement, but there are many other things. We have a database of resources that can be shared, who can provide and so on. So just briefly, I think we have a lot of things done. On the natural resource accounting, I think, you know, it may look at something like a thing for accountants, bookkeepers, you know, but if you really look at it, you know, when you talk about adaptation can be a cost, or it can be even a future benefit. And if you can cost it into your statements, you know, you can start off with some shadow balance sheet or shadow financial profit and loss account. Governments can do it, the private sector can do it. You know, it will show a lot of things, because once you monetize this, whether it is adaptation, mitigation, and so on, then companies or the governments will tend to look at long-term at these issues. And I think that is the best way to mainstream, you know. We can talk, and then you say, yes, very good, we have mainstream, somebody said we have put a clause in our national action plan, we all are happy. But it doesn't make the difference where the difference needs to be made. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, Peter.
A couple quick responses. On the first comment in this issue of communication and bridging the great divide, and I think, again, in the context of capacity development, I think a very important and neglected area is the role of intermediary organizations that are sort of in that missing middle between the local community level and the national level. And I would suggest this needs to be a higher priority area of focus for capacity development efforts, because I think there's a very important role that these kinds of groups can play. And secondly, on the issue of scenarios, and I'll be a little sneaky here because it gives me the opportunity to also flog World Resources Report. At WRI, our flagship publication, the World Resources Report, the next issue is focused on adaptation, and the specific theme is decision-making in a changing climate, which of course very closely aligns with our discussions the last couple of days. One interesting aspect and a new aspect of this World Resources Report is we're working with a couple of other organizations in facilitating some scenario exercises. The next one will be in Vietnam. I think it's scheduled in December, if I'm not mistaken. And once the website for World Resources Report is fully up and running, the results of these scenario exercises will be posted and may provide some interesting insight.
Thank you very much, Peter. So we had the two quick responses linking especially the natural resource accounting and linking the adaptation to the big picture, and also on the communications. Now, do you want to add anything with the national and subnational?
Well, I think my final statement is to focus on national, the local context. The communication will be put in the local context so the people can understand immediately. And then it's depend, like the Philippines, we have so many dialects. So in our practice in Albay, we use the medium of English of instruction for the training of trainers. And then we train all the community leaders and the government officer personnels, and we conducted the capacity assessment and development, and we gauge the familiarity of the issues, and then we run for the projects. So that's if you want to really understand the issues in concern about what is mainstreaming, what is mitigation is all about, what is adaptation is all about, you have to define that immediately to them. And then ask them what they want to use, what dialects or language they want to use. So if you want to really mainstream the program, use your own language.
Thank you very much. So we can take up some additional comments. So we have one from the back, the gentleman in the black, yes.
Thank you very much. My name is Ehsan Mahbub Qazi from Pakistan. I think I am not supposed to ask the questions because of two reasons. I am a food scientist and foods related to food science and technology, and secondly, we are a part of organizer. I am working voluntarily to organize this event, but still something comes in my mind that two issues are not being, I think, not addressed, except few of you said something about this issue. Mr. Manuel Rangasa from Philippines and Mr. Peter Hazelwood also touched this issue. That is, when you are going down to the community level, so how to develop the trust towards the adaptation when you are bringing the new technologies like planning, development like this, how to develop the trust of the communities, and which in turns influence or affected by the part of the communities, especially in the rural areas, that a part of community that have some resistance to, not only they have some resistance, show some resistance to new technologies, but they influence the communities, a major part of the community to, okay, just don't go for this, which I think in social sciences, I'm not a student of social sciences, but I have some courses attended in undergrad. They use a term legitimizer, if I'm not wrong, legitimizer. So how we do like this, develop the trust and address those, overcome that legitimizer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that very important question. How do you get the trust? And the lady, the red, yes.
Thank you very much. I'd like to share with you, sorry, I'm coming from the UNEP RCAP. I'd like to share with you some points about one of our last speaker talk about multi-stakeholder like participation. I also would like to just more sense to use a new word, maybe not so new from last year, called multi-layer stakeholders. Because actually our traditional conventional focus will be on, for example, from top down like policymakers, and bottom up we have the public awareness and also environment education. But for another layer, it's also very important for the business level. Actually, from the policymakers aspect, we always think, and also economics and environmentalists and also scientists, they think it's very difficult to become friends with the business people because they think the profit is the first priority. But actually, how to combine the incentive from environment